Samsung A50s smartphone was launched in September 2019. The phone comes with a 6.4-inch Super AMOLED touchscreen display with an aspect ratio of 19.5:9. It is powered by Exynos 9610 processor. It comes with 6GB of RAM. As far as the cameras are concerned, the Samsung A50s on the rear packs a triple camera setup consisting of a 48-megapixel main shooter and 8-megapixel ultra-wide lens along with a 5-megapixel depth sensor. There is a 32-megapixel camera on the front for selfies. This device is based on Android 9.0 Pie and packs 128GB of inbuilt storage that can be expanded via microSD card up to 1 TB. It is powered by a 4000 mAh battery with 15-watt fast charging support. Samsung has demonstrated that it still sees great potential in the lower end of the smartphone market by taking the wraps of the Galaxy A41, which is the latest mid-range smartphone from the company, which could go a long way towards making you feel like you have got a top-of-the-line Galaxy phone without costing nearly so much as the flagships. The Galaxy A41 has a 6.1-inch screen that called an Infinity U AMOLED display, which isn't as fancy as the likes of the Galaxy S20 but should still look pretty great for the price. Probably the biggest selling point for the phone is that it offers IP68 water and dust resistance, which is a rarity in the mid-range segment. In fact, it's not unheard of to find flagship phones without the feature either. The rest of the phone is distinctly mid-range at best. It got a competent and budget-focused Helio P65 chipset according to GSM Arena. This is supported by 4GB of RAM, 64GB of expandable storage. You can expect a smooth performance when scrolling and gaming. The Samsung Galaxy A41 also seemed to deliver in the camera arena, packing a 48-megapixel primary camera, 8-megapixel ultra-wide shooter and a 5-megapixel depth sensor. Selfies are handled by a 25-megapixel camera in the water drop notch. You can record 4K video at 30 fps. Pictures taken with the camera delivers good quality. You can see good details and color accuracy. It is backed with a 3500 mAh battery that has 15-watt fast charging. This smartphone sports a big 6.4-inch displays with water drop notch, which Samsung calls Infinity U displays. The bezels aren't thin but are acceptable for the price. Just like with other M series smartphones, Samsung has used plastic in the construction of the Galaxy M31. The earpiece is sleek and it sits right above the display in the frame of the smartphone. The Galaxy M31 feels comfortable to hold in the hand. The sides are slightly curved, which helps with grip. Samsung has positioned the power and volume buttons on the right of the device. The Galaxy M31 has a 3.5mm headphone jack, primary microphone, USB Type-C port and a speaker at the bottom. Samsung has retained the Exynos 9611 chipset from the Galaxy M30s. This is an octa-core processor with great performance. For graphics, it has the Mali G72 GPU. You get 6GB of RAM and a choice between a 64GB storage variant and a 128GB of storage variant. The device is fairly quick to load up apps, however big apps do take slightly longer. Since there is plenty of RAM, multitasking is very easy. The Galaxy M31 sports a quad camera setup at the back and a single 32-megapixel selfie shooter. The primary camera on the Galaxy M31 has a 64-megapixel resolution and 1.8 aperture. There's also an 8-megapixel ultra-wide-angle camera with a 120-degree field of view. The other two are 5-megapixel depth sensor and a 5-megapixel macro camera. Samsung's camera app is the same as before. Photos turned out well and have decent details. The smartphone enables HDR automatically if required. Switching to the wide-angle camera is easy and you can get a wider field of view. This phone is capable of separating subjects and backgrounds when shooting close-ups. Photos taken in low light looked good. Rear camera can record 4K video at 30 fps. There is a single 32-megapixel camera on the front. Selfies taken with the Galaxy M31 were decent when shot with sufficient lighting around. The front delivers good quality pictures all around. You can also record 4K video with the front camera. M31 packs in a big 6000 mAh battery with 15-watt fast charging support. Samsung Galaxy A50 have curved back and light build. It offers excellent in-hand feel. The panel is dominated by a stunning nearly edge-to-edge display with a U-shaped notch on top and a slight chin at the bottom. The rear panel has a glossy glass finish, but it is actually made of polycarbonate. The phone comes with Infinity U Super AMOLED screen that just looks fabulous. It has a full HD Plus resolution with 19.5 by 9 aspect ratio. The screen is bright, vibrant and seems well calibrated. The Galaxy A50 display also comes embedded with a fingerprint sensor. The Samsung Galaxy A50 is driven by an Exynos 9610 chipset. Samsung's in-house developed chip is based on 10nm process and comprises octa-core divided into 2 quad-core clusters. The chipset is coupled with Mali G72 MP3 GPU to meet your graphics requirement. Galaxy A50 unit featured 4GB of RAM. The Galaxy A50 consists of triple camera system as one of its major highlights. Samsung has once again opted for a 25MP primary sensor with 1.7 aperture, which is coupled with a 5MP sensor which have 2.2 aperture and an 8MP wide-angle sensor which have 2.2 aperture also. For selfie lovers, there is also a 25MP camera which have 2.0 aperture placed right inside the U-shaped notch. The design is cool, AMOLED display is good quality, the One UI software is better than what most other Android brands have to offer, and battery backup is excellent. The day-to-day performance should be good enough for average users over a longer period of time. Samsung Galaxy M40 is the 4th installment in the company's online exclusive M series. It's also the first M series phone to include a competent Qualcomm chipset and Samsung's striking One UI software. The front of the M40 is dominated by an Infinity O display, whereas the O represents a punch hole. Samsung has managed a 91% screen-to-body ratio, and that makes Galaxy M40 quite manageable and handy. The Galaxy M40 has a 6.3-inch screen which has FHD Plus resolution amounting to 409 ppi. It shows punchy colors, can achieve a maximum brightness of up to 480 nits, and the calibration is quite good. The Galaxy M40 is driven by Qualcomm Snapdragon 675 chipset. With 6GB of DDR4 RAM and 128GB of internal storage. M40 have 32MP with 1.7 aperture sensor as a primary rear camera. The primary sensor gets the assistance of 5MP depth sensor in portrait mode. There is another 8MP sensor on the back that can capture ultra-wide-angle shots. Apart from these rear cameras, there is a 16MP with a 2.0 aperture sensor for a selfie on the front of the phone. The Galaxy M40 fixes what has traditionally been a limitation of affordable Samsung phones. This time Samsung particularly focuses on the performance hardware and uses a popular tried and tested Qualcomm chipset instead of a value Exynos SoC chipset.